crazy how many teams had a chance to win. The Ripper GC went from 9 back to leading by 2 to near the cellar again late in the day. It was so volatile, counting 4 scores. It was pretty nuts, but you know, the cliques have been cellar dwellers for basically 2.5 seasons, and they come out victorious today. That's awesome.
It'll be the summer of the cliques, definitely. So, like I said, there's definitely more to come from us.
It was a magnificent ball striking performance.
Yeah, you know, I got to speak to someone in his camp before he teed off this morning, and they said to me that he is finally feeling extremely comfortable out here. He's not thinking about any swing thought. He's going out there, he's swinging so freely, and it certainly showed today. The way he drove the ball, the way he hit his irons, and even in his putting as well.
Yeah, and lives in Texas, went to school in Texas. His tour win on the PGA Tour was here in Houston, which is Texas, and now his first live win, Texas.
Honestly, it was just a matter of playing solid coming down the stretch. I think there was a good switch there on 15 that I made birdie, he made bogey, and I just knew that I had to power in pretty much, and it was mine. The 18 I made bogey, but it worked. He played unbelievable, and he put pressure all the way to the end, and it was a good battle. I love playing here. Obviously, Texas treats me well. It's my adopted home state, so I'm just happy to get it done.
Welcome to hour number 3, live right here on the early line on this Tuesday on SportsGrid. Let me just say, I'm Ben Stevens. I get everything. He's Donnie Rightside. He is DRS. We welcome you to our third and final hour live right here on this Tuesday. A lot of baseball coming your way here in this third hour, and a preview of tonight's game number 5 in the Stanley Cup Final back in Sunrise. The Panthers 1 victory away from their first Stanley Cup in franchise history. Edmonton trying to continue the momentum of scoring 8 goals in Game 4 on Saturday to send this thing back up to the Great White North. Are we about to be a baseball show from here on out? And Adua will tell you later on in this third and final hour.
Yeah, well, it seems like it was a mirage, some of these Game 4 victories here, because we take a look at that Mavericks blowout victory, which didn't carry over at all in game number 5 against the Celtics. Will that blowout victory for the Oilers carry over into game number 5 against the Panthers in Sunrise on the road? Or will we be celebrating championships on back-to-back nights here? We'll certainly find that out. But also, Major League Baseball in this hour, we're ready. RBI shots look good. Weather looks good in a lot of instances. So let's make some money today.
All right, we actually might need to do a new breaking news segment as the Ravens have unveiled a new purple alternate helmet. We might need to get the content box fired up for Donnie Rightside's NFL fashion segment once again. Let me know when you see it. Ari Mayron has posted it.
Yeah, I do see it here, but I need that, like, does that mean we're wearing purple uniforms?
No, it's not. It
so
looks as though the Ravens do have their purple uniforms. This fall, purple will rise. Yeah.
Yeah, it needs to say it's one of those where I'm looking at it where I don't think I love it and I don't think I hate it. So I probably need some time to think about it. Because every once in a while, like the Giants come out and be like, hey, man, battle reds. You're like, this is the worst thing we ever seen. You don't need to think about it. I got to think about this a little bit more. I don't mind it right now. So I'm not, my hater hat is not on for this one. But when I get to see it a little bit more and think about it, maybe that'll change. But right now, we're not hating on it.
All right, so maybe we'll save your true assessment for tomorrow because we're going to need to fill some time here on the early line. To me, my initial reactions and takeaways just looks a little bit gimmicky. Looks like something you would create in a video game. But I do love NFL franchises getting creative.
ECU.
The purple helmet with the gold face mask does look pretty good. All right. As we round out this NBA season, and the Boston Celtics, an NBA champion, for the 18th time in franchise history, the most ever in NBA history, will the Celtics make it number 19 next year? We've showed you the odds a few times here in the past 20 minutes. The Celtics, a very short favorite to win the NBA championship in 2024-25. Will they make good on those odds? That was our question in Fade the Public. At SportsGrid on Twitter, will the Celtics repeat as NBA champions in 2025? Obviously, a very tall task and a lot of expectation now on the Celtics' shoulders. Yes or no? Most of the public, 73% of the public, in fact, say no. The Celtics will not go back-to-back as NBA champions. It's how I voted. Again, it's a very tall task with a lot to get through before we even think that is a credible argument. So I said no. Donnie, what did you say?
Yeah, and again, going at fading the public, which is some things we like. And by the way, talking about yesterday, which bet would you like the best? I said, you know what? Give me that under. That was really the epitome of fading the public, and it came in yesterday. So I'm also with the public today. Yeah, how about that? So yesterday against it, today I'm with it. I voted no. 73% of the people voted no as well.
Yeah.
It's just so hard to go back-to-back in professional sports at this point. Everything is usually the deck sided against you, which included playing 100-plus games this year for the Celtics. That's going to be tough to do. The teams are going to get better in the East here. So I think it makes a lot of sense, but 150 votes in there, so pretty substantial. I wouldn't be surprised by the end of the day if we might be hitting 75+% on the nose here.
So after the Golden State Warriors won a ton of championships, we had those frequent matchups, of course, between the Golden State Warriors and the Cleveland Cavaliers, 4 straight years from 2015 through 2018, the Dubs winning 3 of the 4. And, of course, we saw a lot of repeat champions earlier in the 2000s. The Heat in 2012 and 2013, the Lakers in 2009 and 2010, and plenty more before. We actually have not seen a repeat champion in the NBA now for 6 consecutive seasons. So it hasn't been what we were used to for most of the previous 20 years. It is a very, very tall order for a team to go back-to-back in a professional sport. And yes, Boston is a 3-1 favorite already. Shorter now to win an NBA championship than they were before last year as a co-favorite alongside Milwaukee. $4.50 in front of the Denver Nuggets, the champions now of 2 NBA campaigns ago. And the Eastern Conference does not look all that formidable on paper in comparison to where it was this year. The Bucks have a lot to figure out. I think it feels like a franchise in turmoil, and there are questions about Doc Rivers as a head coach. The Philadelphia 76ers, if Joel Embiid can remain healthy, they would seem like a tough competitor in the Eastern Conference. And what is the ceiling of the New York Knicks? Can they add a piece to Jalen Brunson? But that's the key thing. We've got a full offseason, then a regular season to get through. And what Boston will bring back as well. It's just very easy to vote no, and so I did.
Yeah, and same thing with me. And you take a look at that 3-1 price point, and I guess that if it was 5-1 or 6-1, you'd feel much better about it. But they're a decided favorite, and for the right reasons. We expect that entire team to come back next year, a year gelling together and winning a championship. So now, when you enter a much tougher, what we think is going to be Eastern Conference next year in the playoffs, you can lean back and say, boy, this is really tough this year. We faltered 4 straight years. No, you actually won a championship now. You know how to guide those waters through, and they easily burst through them this year. But if we're taking a look at those top 6 at the FanDuel Sportsbook to win next year, Celtics, Nuggets, Timberwolves, Mavericks, Bucks, and Oklahoma City Thunder, bona fide superstars on every one of those basketball teams. If one of those teams say, well, Donnie, if it isn't the Celtics, who would you actually go with? I do like the Dallas Mavericks. I think they'll make some changes. But I got to tell you, the Minnesota Timberwolves and the Oklahoma City Thunder, plus 850 and a 10-1 price, still stick out because OKC is just at the beginning of what we think they can be. A lot of picks and a lot of money to spend. Let's see if they add on. And also the Minnesota Timberwolves, maybe with the most dynamic basketball player in the sport right now, getting after it in Ant-Man. The future is bright here for the Western Conference on 2 of those teams with some really good price points.
And like this Celtics core led by Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum did, you learn from your postseason failures. You learn from coming up short. The Boston Celtics losing in 6 games in the NBA Finals 2 years ago, or now 3 years ago, to the Golden State Warriors. Last year coming up short in the Eastern Conference Finals against the 8th seed, the Miami Heat. Boston this year on top of the sport as an NBA champ. How much will those teams, the young Minnesota Timberwolves, led by the young superstar in Anthony Edwards, learn from coming up short in only 5 games in the Western Conference Finals? Or OKC making it to round number 2 of the NBA postseason, but losing in 6 games to the Dallas Mavericks? And how hungry will this Nuggets team be, the reigning NBA champs this season, expected as the Western Conference favorites as the playoffs got underway to get back to the NBA Finals again, and Nikola Jokic and Jamal Murray come up short? Right now, the conference odds are also out, and there's a group of 4 teams out west, DRS, all separated by just $1. Denver, the favorites, Dallas, Minnesota, OKC. Minnesota actually 30 cents in front of the Mavs and the Thunder, plus 450 for the Timberwolves, plus 480 for both the Mavericks and the Thunder. That's going to be my favorite storyline because last year, even with Minnesota and OKC at the top of the table, their odds to do damage in the postseason overlooked in favor of the legacy teams like the Clippers, the Lakers, and the Suns. Different story this next NBA season. Daily basis, Greg Mish, next.
Anyone that's been to a sporting event, the atmosphere before a game, I think Game Time Decisions has that same exact atmosphere. This is our arena. This is what we do. There is going to be an energy to Game Time Decisions that you will feel night in and night out. The excitement you get when you lock your bets in, when you're figuring out what you want to do, we can zone in on the biggest games each night. I want this to be the place that people come to before the games start so they feel as ready as possible to lock in their cards. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions to get that new information, react to it, and be able to then bet accordingly. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.
You got Porzingis, you got Holiday, you got Derek White. You got, literally, I would say what, 5 guys can get you 20 points in a game?
I know people will say it's, only one guy. I don't believe that, Coach, that, one guy, those days are over, in my opinion. Like, a Bill Russell, a Wilt Chamberlain.
Betting above the rim, only on SportsGrid.
You rarely see a tournament champion, if I'm not mistaken, have a triple bogey on any hole and win a championship, and he still did it. To me, I mean, that was really the story.
You look at his last 8 starts, going back to the Arnold Palmer Invitation. His finishes are first, second, first, 8th, second, first.
Newswire, only on SportsGrid.
Welcome to summer, and welcome to the baseball edition of the Early Line. We're getting close to our focus primarily being on the MLB Diamond, so who better to set the stage than our guy Craig Mish, the host of Newswire, starting at 11 a.m. Eastern Time, and our MLB insider all across the SportsGrid network. Craig, thank you for being here on this Tuesday.
Yeah, it's that time of the year. We're getting ready for it.
Yep.
We wrapped up the NBA. I think tonight we're going to wrap up the NHL, and then it's baseball until training camp in the NFL, pretty much.
Listen, we got the Men's College World Series still playing out on the diamond right now. The WNBA has been exciting to start this season, of course, but a lot of focus on MLB.
Why is Donnie shaking his head? What's that about?
Because here's the thing, Craig. Like, if this World Series was played in Miami, that'd lead the story right now. But since it's in Omaha, we just not much attention being paid.
You guys
to it.
fight about this every day. Like Ben,
I completely agree with Craig.
Such a fake Miami fan. It's crazy, dude.
Oh, Craig's not a fake Miami fan. You do that to him.
No, Craig has more right to it. He lives in the Sunshine State. You do not have any right to be a Hurricanes fan. You don't even know who plays on Miami baseball. You couldn't even tell me the last time Miami won the Men's College World Series, despite me saying it multiple times in the last week.
Pat Burrell, 99. Didn't they win at 99, Miami?
Okay. Yeah, okay, you got it. You got it. Right. Maybe you're a Miami fan.
It's been that long ago.
Good job. All right. All right, listen, we got to focus on MLB with Craig right now, despite his Florida Gators staving off elimination yesterday in Omaha. We do that each and every day. It's time for another edition of the Daily Bases. Oh, I thought we might have Lacey saying Craig yet again. Yeah. Anyway, Craig, the biggest story right now in Major League Baseball, at least this past week, it's Grimace and what he has done for the New York Mets. Since Grimace threw out the first pitch on Wednesday at Citi Field, the New York Mets have not lost a single game. A perfect 6-0. Outside of Grimace throwing out the first pitch, what has the New York Mets figured out?
Yeah, it's funny how things work. You could pick any narrative for baseball over the course of the season. You see them teams do this all the time. They'll say since this or since that. It's kind of funny that since the Grimace throughout the first pitch that this has happened. But let's be real, offensively, let's talk about the Mets. Offensively, what's happened in the first 2+ months is that you have so many players playing below the back of the baseball card. So inevitably that's going to catch up. You did not expect Lindor to have the season he was having and Brandon Nimmo to have the season he was having and even Pete Alonso to a degree. And so naturally those guys are finally coming along. To go along with the fact that Starling Marte has had a really good season thus far, JD Martinez has been fine. And so their offense is now playing to what it should. Now, Mets fans will, obviously be negative because that's just the state of New York, is find a way to look at the negative as opposed to the positive. And if Edwin Diaz had been better at the start of the season, what would their record be, et cetera? It's not the way baseball works. Your record is what it is. The Mets right now are in prime position potentially to get to the postseason. And I think, guys, one of the more fascinating teams, if they're still in it, at the trade deadline. Because this was supposed to be a year where, the owner basically said, hey, we're going to take a little bit of a step back. Are you going to sell that to the fans on July 31st that we're not going to add players and not go for this thing? Stay tuned.
Yeah, it's certainly what it means to Pete Alonso also in the offseason, how much money he's going to make, but particularly will he make that money in New York? A guy making a lot of money in the city of brotherly love returned back to the bases yesterday. That was Trey Turner. Couple base hits, nice play at shortstop. The Phillies thankful that he's back. A 300 hitter, Craig, back in the lineup for the Phils.
Yeah, Phillies right now, let's just call it what it is. They're the class of the NL. Now that the Dodgers have lost Yamamoto and Mookie Betts for an extended period of time, you have to look at the Phillies until all things are healthy as the potential favorite right now in the National League. They're getting, as you mentioned, Turner back. It is June, so it's Kyle Schwarber month. He's hitting like crazy. Their pitching has been great. And, this is one of those seasons for a baseball team like the Phillies who haven't won the World Series in a long time. It is World Series or bust, I think, for them at this point. Once JT comes back and, naturally, and look, the Dodgers are going to get their guys back. The regular season doesn't really mean as much to them as it does to some other teams. But Philly's probably creeping up, I would say, on the favorites to win it all.
The Phils, the best record in the National League, 48-24, 4 games better than that of LA. We go from Philadelphia to Pittsburgh. Skeens Day, number 7, and Paul Skeens now is a perfect 4-0 with his record. Pittsburgh has won 6 of his 7 starts, and he's got a 2.29 ERA. Craig, how do you put Paul Skeens' debut in Major League Baseball into context historically?
Very hard. He's been as good as anybody we've seen. So, really, Strasburg is the one that keeps coming to mind. It's the best comp to use. I think it's the fairest comp to use, too. He's been as good as advertised. I think the only thing left to decide at this point, as we're creeping closer, is baseball going to put him in the All-Star game? It's really a good question. I think it's fair to say at this point he would add more viewers. I think more people would be interested in seeing him pitch. And can you put a guy in after making only 8 or 9 starts? Historically, the answer is no, but I really hope that baseball thinks about this thing, because he would be a reason to watch the game. And, right now the home run derby has far surpassed interest levels as far as the game is concerned, but I think that this would be a nice little boost if they were able to figure that out.
50 wins for the New York Yankees, the most in all of Major League Baseball. But yesterday, some bad injury news, despite Garrett Cole making his return and season debut on Wednesday. Anthony Rizzo is going to miss about 4 to 6 weeks with a fractured arm. Craig, how significant is this for the Bronx Bombers?
I mean, he wasn't really playing great to begin with. So, look, it's a loss because he's an everyday player, but you can see those numbers there. I mean, that's not a Yankee player that's going to play in the postseason, sorry to say. So I know yesterday they announced that some moves are going to be made as far as, I guess, LeMahieu playing first. Cabrera, I guess, will play third. But I would expect the Yankees to make a minor move now and then potentially add somebody better and upgrade at first base if they can. That's not to say that Rizzo can't get better. It's just, it's been a really tough first half for him.
That's how you go all around the bases. First, second, third, and make it our way through home. Craig Mish, we'll see you on Newswire at 11 a.m. Eastern Time or on the early line next.
Anyone that's been to a sporting event, the atmosphere before a game, I think Game Time Decisions has that same exact atmosphere. This is our arena. This is what we do. There is going to be an energy to Game Time Decisions that you will feel night in and night out. The excitement you get when you lock your bets in, when you're figuring out what you want to do, we can zone in on the biggest games each night. I want this to be the place that people come to before the games start so they feel as ready as possible to lock in their cards. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions to get that new information, react to it, and be able to then bet accordingly. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.
You got Porzingis, you got Holiday, you got Derek White. You got literally, I would say what, 5 guys that can get you 20 points in a game?
I know people say it's, only one guy. I don't believe that, Coach, that, one guy, those days are over, in my opinion. Like, a Bill Russell, a Wilt Chamberlain.
Betting above the rim, only on SportsGrid.
You rarely see a tournament champion, if I'm not mistaken, have a triple bogey on any hole and win a championship, and he still did it. To me, I mean, that was really the story.
You look at his last 8 starts, going back to the Arnold Palmer Invitation. His finishes are first, second, first, 8th, second, first.
Newswire, only on SportsGrid.
What a midweek series we have starting today in the Bronx between the 2 best teams in the American League East, the 2 best teams in the American League overall. It's the Baltimore Orioles visiting the New York Yankees. Game number 1 on this Tuesday night. It's going to be a hot one up in the Bronx. Total is 9 at Yankee Stadium. The Yanks with Nestor Cortez on the bump, a -152 home favorite. A huge series this week, DRS, between the Yankees and the O's. A game and a half separates New York at the top of the American League East in front of Baltimore.
And by the way, you're taking a look at this game, not the best pitchers on the mound for this one in this Titanic matchup, but if we do break down the pitchers, Albert Suarez, since May 1st, about 6 weeks here, his xFIP minus is over 100, where Nestor Cortez is right at 100, which is average. Now, let's take a look at how these lineups have been dealing with a certain type of pitcher, meaning righty or lefty, over the past month. Suarez coming into this game with a 160 ISO and a 325 weighted on base percentage to lefties, which means he's struggling just a bit there. Right-handed batters is a different story, but this Yankees lineup has been very good against right-handed pitching over the past 30 days. Soto, Judge, Verdugo, Stanton, and Torres all above average ISO power numbers and weighted on base percentages. Now let's flip it over to Baltimore side, because Nestor Cortez hasn't been great over the past 30 days. He's been serviceable. The one thing we know as a left-handed pitcher, typically, Ben, you're going to get left-handed batters out. He's done it on the season and particularly over the past 60 days. The issue here is the right-handed batters. Over the past 30 days, a 232 ISO and a 362 weighted on base percentage. You know you're going to get a lot of right-handed power hitters in that lineup for the Orioles. However, over the past month, a lot of these guys, 15 to 30 at-bats here. Adley Rutschman and Jorge Mateo, the only two guys here with really above ISO power number metrics against left-handed pitching over the past month. So I do give a slight lean here towards the Yankees at home, and I think they're priced appropriately and should be the favorite.
The two best teams in the American League, the two teams behind both the O's and the Yanks, lead their two respective divisions as well. Cleveland in the American League Central, Seattle in the American League West. The M's continue to be the only team with a winning record in the AL West. They face off this week in Cleveland. The Guardians a home favorite today at minus 120 on the money line. Over under at 8.5. What do you like in the land?
85 degrees, wind blowing out to center field, so a good hitting day. Let's see what we have for Tristan McKenzie, because the one thing we know about him is he does like to give up fly balls here, and also his xFIP minus numbers over the past month and a half or so, they're still over 100. He has been pitching a little bit better than what he did at the start of the season, but still, right-handed batters can really get after him, Ben. A 469. It's almost unheard of. ISO power number and a weighted on base percentage of 525 to righties as a right-handed pitcher over the past 30 days. If we're taking a look at that lineup, chances to go deep, probably Tyler Locklear. You heard that name yet? Only 18 at-bats, but a 235 ISO and a 326 weighted on base percentage due up late in that order. Julio Rodriguez in the middle of that lineup. Average, 169, 323 weighted on base percentage. This will be an interesting one to let it play out, because for me, McKenzie's always been the fadeable guy. So I'm going to stick with that game plan, and I'll take Seattle in this game against the Guardians.
So right now, Cleveland has a 5-game lead atop the American League Central. Seattle, 9 games in front of both the Astros and the Rangers in the American League West. The Boston Red Sox, a team that sneaky Donnie is starting to vibe with. Another win yesterday as a road underdog up in the 6 against the Blue Jays. Today, with Tanner Houck on the mound, the Red Sox the dog yesterday. With Houck on the bump, a slight road favorite. Will the Red Sox continue their winning ways?
Yeah, by the way, roof will be open probably in Canada today. You don't have any chances really of any precipitation, about 82 degrees. So we should get a good hitting environment there tonight. But we have two good pitchers on the mound, particularly over the past 30 to 60 days. You take a look at Batson on the mound. Look at this, Ben, 129 batters he's faced over the past 30 days, an 0.17 ISO and a weighted on base percentage of 263 and a K percentage around 24%. That's really good. And obviously on the opposite side, you got Tanner Houck. He comes into this with an 0.57 ISO and a 210 weighted on base percentage over the past 30 days. They're two good-looking lineups, and you know me, my affinity now for that Boston Red Sox lineup that has guys like Duran and Valdez and Devers and Gonzalez and all the boys that they've been playing very well. But this game, to me, even though I like the lineups, I think the pitching matchups are going to hold out. Also, keep in mind, two of these teams fighting now for playoff positioning. I do think this game is going to go under the total, despite having some pretty good hitting conditions.
A couple of home runs yesterday to start things off in the first out of Tyler O'Neill and Rafi Devers. Tyler O'Neill had 2 long balls yesterday. Boston has won 3 straight games, the final 2 of their weekend set against the New York Yankees. The opener yesterday in Toronto. A Red Sox team that has really hovered around 500 for pretty much the entirety of this MLB season. Now 3 games above, 38 and 35. Boston has won 6 of its last 8. Game number 5 in Sunrise of the Stanley Cup Finals. A breakdown next.
Anyone that's a sporting event, the atmosphere before a game, I think Game Time Decisions has that same exact atmosphere. This is our arena. This is what we do. There is going to be an energy to Game Time Decisions that you will feel night in and night out. The excitement you get when you lock your bets in, when you're figuring out what you want to do, we can zone in on the biggest games each night. I want this to be the place that people come to before the games start so they feel as ready as possible to lock in their cards. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions to get that new information, react to it, and be able to then bet accordingly. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.
You got Porzingis, you got Holiday, you got Derek White. You got literally, I would say what? 5 guys can get you 20 points in a game?
I know people will say it's, only one guy. I don't believe that, Coach, that, one guy, those days are over, in my opinion. Like, a Bill Russell, a Wilt Chamberlain.
Betting above the rim. Only on SportsGrid.
You rarely see a tournament champion, if I'm not mistaken, have a triple bogey on any hole and win a championship, and he still did it. To me, I mean, that was really the story.
You look at his last 8 starts, going back to the Arnold Palmer Invitation. His finishes are first, second, first, 8th, second, first.
Newswire. Only on SportsGrid.
Is it over tonight in Sunrise? The Panthers 1 win away from their first ever Stanley Cup in franchise history. Edmonton trying to eke out another win and send this thing back to Alberta. What will we see in game number 5 of the Stanley Cup Final? Anna Dua of the NHL is here to preview it all and give us her breakdown on this Tuesday morning. Anna, thank you so much for joining us here on this Tuesday on the Early Line.
Thanks for having me. Season's almost over, guys.
And the reason we have a Game 5 is because of Saturday in Edmonton. A game that maybe some thought Edmonton could win to avoid the sweep against Florida. I don't think anybody, Anna, was expecting a 7-goal margin in an 8-1 Oilers win. 8 goals against Sergei Bobrovsky, who gave up 5 on 11 shots faced and was yanked from game number 4. How did Saturday night's blowout come to be?
Yeah, I don't think anyone saw that coming. That's like the all-time best puck line look if you took that in that game, because that was insane for the Edmonton Oilers. I thought they would win that one. I didn't think the Florida Panthers were going to sweep, but that was a statement victory by Edmonton. This entire team showed up. Connor McDavid had a 4-point night for himself, and their role players too, like Dylan Holloway had a 3-point night. Top to bottom, great game by the Edmonton Oilers. They're a good team. They have been a good team. Florida's dominated so far this series, but Edmonton showed that maybe it's not done just quite yet.
Yeah, we saw in the NBA, game number 4 against a team that with an 0-3 deficit absolutely hammered that team and moved forward, then got beat in the very next game in the opponent's building. We sort of see that setting up here for the Edmonton Oilers. An unbelievable performance on Saturday night. Now they have to back that up tonight. But if we are looking at the money line for the series prices, still substantial here for Florida at a minus 1,200 to win the series. Edmonton is at a plus 720 price. Florida minus 1.5 games here at minus 375. And Edmonton getting the 1.5 at a plus 280. Now, in the NBA, that series ended here. I'm not going to ask who's going to win tonight's game, but buying in on Edmonton, are the vibes higher? Or is it just, you know what? That's one game you probably can just throw out because it just didn't go Florida's way, Anna.
I mean, hockey's hockey for a reason. Anything can happen in the sport. A team has come back from an 0-3 deficit and completed the reverse sweep before in this tournament. So you never know. It was the Toronto Maple Leafs, and that's another Canadian team. If you want to go down this rabbit hole of superstitions, I don't know if this year Edmonton can pull off the reverse sweep, but never say never. That was a huge win in Game 4 for sure. That definitely changed the tides a little bit. I wonder how that impacts Sergei Bobrovsky more than anyone else on Florida, because he's been playing really well throughout this series. You wonder if he starts to falter. All of a sudden, does Edmonton break through? Because their big guys still haven't showcased how great they can be, like Connor McDavid has, but I'm still waiting for a little bit more from Ryan Nugent-Hopkins, Leon Draisaitl, Zach Hyman. Like, once those gates open, that's tough for Florida. I still think the Panthers are the stronger team in this series. They just play a style of hockey that's really tough for Edmonton to play against. So I'm still rocking with Florida, but never say never.
And Florida's still a minus 1,200 favorite to win Lord Stanley's Cup, and they still have a 3-1 series advantage headed back to Sunrise for game number 5 on home ice tonight, where they have been victorious by a 3-goal margin in each of the first 2 games of this series. So, Anna, as we look at the series outlook overall, how much do you weigh momentum into this when it's not just a win for Edmonton, but a 7-goal difference? Does that carry over? Does Sergei Bobrovsky still have that confidence? What do you think is the biggest change we will see in Game 5 tonight?
Momentum is everything, so definitely it's going to play a factor. I think Game 5 actually might be the closest game that we see, because Florida has been a very dominant team throughout the postseason. They looked really great to kick off this series. Edmonton had their statement victory, and now I think that maybe the goal margin is going to decrease a little bit in this Game 5. I think Edmonton didn't like the way they started. They came back, and it's going to meet somewhere in the middle, because they still haven't figured out the Florida Panthers. That was not a great game for Florida in Game 4, but I'm still concerned about how Edmonton matches up against this team when they're playing their best. And on the other hand, still, as I said earlier, waiting for Edmonton's big players to have that big, huge impact game that they're known to have during the regular season. If they have that, you wonder how Florida responds. I think this is going to be one where we see maybe a 1-goal differential. That's what I'll say.
Home ice advantage. We'll see how it plays out tonight. And also the Cup, once again, will be in the building, and the Florida Panthers are expecting to win this. And also from an odds perspective, at the FanDuel Sportsbook overnight lines, minus 134 price here for Florida. That's actually increased now to a minus 140 price live, and a total listed at 5.5. But also, as you talk about, Anna, other players being able to step up. The one guy it seems like we're waiting on here, Zach Hyman, the leader here in the goal-scoring market for game number 5 at a plus 135 price, followed by Reinhart, McDavid, and Draisaitl. The keys to the game here, let's just start with the Edmonton Oilers. Is it this the big line has to dominate tonight, or is it the stars that we haven't seen shine yet, like a Zach Hyman finding the back of the net?
I think exactly what you're saying, like Zach Hyman scoring goals, Leon Draisaitl, their power play, Ryan Nugent-Hopkins, those are the players that got Edmonton to this point. And it's honestly good news for them that they were able to win that game largely on the back of their role players and be where they are in this series because of their role players. That's always been a concern for Edmonton, is how deep is this team really? And now you're seeing some of these guys shine out, and that's really nice for the Edmonton Oilers to know, because the Panthers are a deep team. So I'm taking a look at the positive there, but in order to defeat Florida, you really need guys like Zach Hyman to show up. On the other side of the ice, though, too, for the Florida Panthers, Matthew Tkachuk has been pretty much absent in the series. He's had only 1 assist so far, and he's a player who I was looking at to make quite a little bit of an impact. He's had at least 4 shots on goal in 2 of his past 3 games, though, so you wonder if he's due for a goal as well.
Connor McDavid did score his first goal of this Cup final in game number 4. Also had 3 dimes, as Edmonton did win 8-1 for Florida. Anna, who only scored that single goal in game number 4. Who do you think sparks the offense tonight and maybe tickles the twine for the Panthers?
I wanted to say Matthew Tkachuk, as I said earlier. He's just due for one, So I feel like if he's had as much shot volume as he's had lately, it would be great for him to break through. Florida wins this game. You would like to see Matthew Tkachuk find his name onto the score sheet. Vladimir Tarasenko, though, I got to give him credit. He's the one who has goals in back-to-back games right now, and he's had at least 3 shots on goal in his past 3 games. He's been playing really well in this series right now, so that's a player that flies under the radar. There's so many names we talk about on Florida as well, with Sasha Barkov and Sam Reinhart and like Carter Verhaeghe, Sam Bennett, the list goes on and on. I feel like Tarasenko's kind of fallen off, but he's been the one performing as of late. I wouldn't be surprised if his hot streak continued in some way too.
And if we take a look at the goalie situation here for Florida, which has been rock solid with Bobrovsky, but a little bit of that doubt here creeps in after that last game. Are you worried at all that we might have a slow start for Bobrovsky and what that means to Florida? Or that game, you just wipe it out, back on your home ice, back to business here for Florida?
I am a little bit worried because heading into the Eastern Conference Final, like Sergei Bobrovsky did not have a good save percentage. Like the Florida Panthers' entire team was the reason that they got to this point, and they were kind of playing to cover up the way Sergei Bobrovsky was playing. And then he played well against the Rangers. He had a phenomenal start to the Stanley Cup Final as well. And now we saw before the last game, he was the favorite to win the Conn Smythe, when in reality, this hasn't been like the most stellar postseason for him from start to finish. So I am a little bit worried because we've seen in the past when Sergei Bobrovsky's hot, he's hot. And when he's not, he goes on these cold streaks. This would be one of the worst times ever for him to falter a little bit. But after an 8-1 loss, like, my goodness, how does that not get in your head a little bit? So Edmonton, if they can take advantage of that, I am definitely concerned about Bobrovsky.
So you see the Conn Smythe odds. Sergei Bobrovsky right now, the man known as Bob, still an ever so slight minus money favorite at minus 105. Sasha Barkov at plus 105. And let's say it's over tonight and the Florida Panthers claim the Stanley Cup in just 5 games. Who would you have winning the Conn Smythe Award?
Yeah, I don't know how Sergei Bobrovsky is still like at the top of this list. I gotta ask him some questions about if he's sending gift baskets to Vegas, because after last game, like, Sasha Barkov is the clear answer to me. I said that before last game. He's been consistent from start to finish this postseason. He's a great two-way player. He's been dominant, not only as like a producer of points, but also shutting down the other team's offense. So he's been my answer from the get-go for the Florida Panthers, and now especially after Game 4, it's a no-brainer for me. I think it should be Sasha Barkov.
Some plus money on Barkov and to do it from the NHL. We appreciate the time. Enjoy Game 5 tonight. More MLB plays up next.
Anyone that's been to a sporting event, the atmosphere before a game, I think Game Time Decisions has that same exact atmosphere. This is our arena. This is what we do. There is going to be an energy to Game Time Decisions that you will feel night in and night out. The excitement you get when you lock your bets in, when you're figuring out what you want to do, we can zone in on the biggest games each night. I want this to be the place that people come to before the games start, so they feel as ready as possible to lock in their cards. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions to get that new information, react to it, and be able to then bet accordingly. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.
You got Porzingis, you got Holiday, you got Derek White. You got, literally, I would say what? 5 guys can get you 20 points in a game?
I know people will say it's, only one guy. I don't believe that, Coach, that, one guy, those days are over, in my opinion. Like, a Bill Russell, a Wilt Chamberlain.
Betting above the rim, only on SportsGrid.
You rarely see a tournament champion, if I'm not mistaken, have a triple bogey on any hole and win a championship, and he still did it. To me, I mean, that was really the story.
You look at his last 8 starts, going back to the Arnold Palmer Invitation. His finishes are first, second, first, 8th, second, first.
Newswire, only on SportsGrid.
The New York Grimace Mets, they are nothing to trifle with at this moment. They have won 6 straight games, of course, since Grimace threw out the first pitch at Citi Field last Wednesday. Can they make it 7 in a row once again tonight in Arlington between the Rangers and the Mets. At this moment, Texas, the reigning World Series champs, who have dropped 7 of their last 10, see themselves in a dead even pick'em. Minus 108 on both sides for the Mets and the Rangers. So is it going to be 7 straight for New York tonight?
Oh, who do you trust? That's going to be the question. Is it going to be the Michael Lorenzen since May 1st with an ERA of 2.39 or the Michael Lorenzen with a 116 xFIP minus? And also the lineup for the New York Mets here that's been really good over the past week and a half. If we take a look at Lorenzen, he's been very good as a right-handed pitcher against left-handed batters for the entirety of the season, which does include the past 30 days. An 0.18 ISO and a 148 weighted on base percentage. But things do change when he's facing right-handed batters. A 196 ISO, which isn't devastatingly bad, but it is above average, and a 393 weighted on base percentage, which is well above average. The first 4 guys in that lineup that I'd be looking for: batter number 1, Francisco Lindor, decent ISO, decent weighted on base percentage against right-handed pitching. But the fact of the matter is he will be batting from the left-hand side, so that might take him out. The other 3 guys that I like here, that's going to be JD Martinez, Pete Alonso, and Starling Marte. Expected to hit 3, 4, and 5 in that lineup. ISO power numbers 270, 242, and 222, respectively. I think they can get the best of them here. Sometimes you're just riding the hot hand. The Mets certainly are those hot batters with the 3 guys in that lineup. All RBI opportunities. I'm going to trust that xFIP minus number more than I do the ERA for Lorenzen. I think the Mets stay hot here.
Yesterday, a 9-5 victory for the Dodgers in Coors Field against the Rockies over a total that was at 12. Freddie Freeman, 6 ABs and 5 walks. Shohei Ohtani continues to deliver at the dish in terms of RBIs. He's now the favorite to win National League MVP due to the injury to Mookie Betts. Total today, just 11, not quite 12 at Coors Field at Mile High. Walker Buehler gets the start for L.A. They're booked as a minus 190 road moneyline favorite.
Yeah, still a high number at 11.5, but again, there's a really good chance they're going to get 12-plus runs. Now, typically, you'd see Walker Buehler on the man, like, ooh, let me just take the Dodgers here, and I'll take an under because he can probably tie up those bats. But we're not playing in Los Angeles out at Chavez Ravine, which certainly is a pitcher's ballpark. You're playing at the ultimate hitter's ballpark in Major League Baseball, Coors Field. If we look at this game, 74 degrees at first pitch, so we're not in that 80s and 90 temperatures, and a wind condition, that's not really going to help all that much. About 8 miles an hour from right foul pole to left foul pole. But let's take a look at Walker Buehler. If we're just looking at these non-analytical numbers, like ISO power number and weighted on base percentage, 207 is that ISO and a weighted on base percentage of 386 over the past 30 days. That isn't very good. You got a couple legitimate hitters in that lineup today for the Colorado Rockies, but on the opposite side, Austin Gomber is out here. Now, for the season itself, look, he does pitch at Coors, so sometimes you have to deflect some of those numbers, but if I'm just taking this back to, May 1st, a 108 xFIP minus, which is slightly above average, an ERA of around 4, and a Sierra number of 4.51. Here's the issue. The Los Angeles Dodgers, Ben, absolutely tee off against left-handed pitching. Take away, and this crazy part about this, you say, yeah, that makes sense. Ohtani, even though he's a lefty, dominates. Ohtani's been terrible against left-handed pitching over the past month. A 0 ISO power number through 33 at-bats. Take a look at the rest of this lineup, though. Will Smith, Freddie Freeman, Teoscar Hernandez, Andy Pages, Rojas, Kike Hernandez, Chris Taylor, and Vargas, all positive batters against lefties. And take a look at Gomber here, struggling with righties and lefties accordingly here. You're looking for the Dodgers to have a really good day at the plate, and I would back that effort there for them. Maybe a team total for the Dodgers. Even though it's going to be expensive, they should hit tonight.
Yeah, 9 yesterday for L.A. You have to think it continues today in Denver. 9 also yesterday back at the bank for Philadelphia, who had dropped 2 series since returning from London last weekend, including 2 Schwarbombs out of Kyle Schwarber. Today with Aaron Nola on the mound against San Diego, the Phils a minus 142 home money line favorite. Will the home cooking continue in the city of brotherly love?
Probably will, just because, again, you're looking at the Phillies getting back home, had a nice night last night against a bad pitcher on the mound that they should have hit, and they did. Tonight could be a different story. Now, Aaron Nola, last time we saw him, he got batted around quite a bit here, so maybe he's looking for that bounce-back performance. But even if we do take it back 6 weeks here, Nola's still pretty good at a 91 xFIP minus and an ERA of 3.70. We'll see if he does improve on the mound tonight. But also, Michael King, one of the key ingredients coming over in that Juan Soto trade since May 1st, he's got a 77 xFIP minus and an ERA of 2.49. Now, the interesting part is going to be is Take a look at some of his numbers. Last 30 days, 113 batters he's faced, a 100 ISO power number, and a 243 weighted on base percentage. The Phillies do have a lot of heat-seeking missiles in that lineup going up against right-handed pitching, but the fact of the matter is, what do you trust more? Well, the one thing that we didn't talk about in Colorado is, well, maybe the weather doesn't help all that much. Philadelphia again today, 87 degrees, 10-mile-an-hour winds blowing out to dead center field. It's almost like in Citizens Bank Ballpark when you see that, regardless of pitchers, you got to take the over, and that's really the feeling today.
So as we keep it going around Major League Baseball, a low-scoring affair yesterday in the A. The Braves won 2-1 against the Tigers. Reese Olson still hooting and hollering for a little bit of run support this year. It has not happened. The Braves offense did pick up in the Trop this weekend. Only 2 runs yesterday, though, back at home. They meet once again. My guy, Spencer Schwellenbach, on the bump, the former Nebraska Cornhusker for the Braves, and they're booked as a -164 favorite against the Rays and Aaron Savali. Or, excuse me,
2 pitchers.
looking at the wrong thing there. That was my fault.
Casey.
Go ahead, Donnie, take it.
Little Casey Mize action up there, man. I had to take a look at some numbers saying, whoa, but the bloat is handicap right here. Both of these pitchers should be able to get hits tonight. But again, 84 degrees, which is nice for Atlanta. You know, it'll probably be muggy, but winds blowing in double digits from right field, certainly not going to help. If we take a look at Casey Mize on the season, he actually has some pretty good numbers. Last 30 days, those numbers changed drastically. A 165 ISO, which is right around average, but 410 as a weighted on base percentage through those 105 batters, that's not going to help you out too much. And maybe this is a night where the Atlanta can start to hit. 4 out of the first 5 batters, Kelenic, Ozuna, Olsen, and Riley, all have very good numbers against right-handed pitching. Let's flip it over to the other side. Spencer Schwellenbach coming up here to Major League Baseball hasn't been all that impressive. 67 batters he's faced, Ben, a 246 ISO and a weighted on base percentage of 351. The 2 guys I look at this lineup here for RBI opportunities, Matt Vierling has been sensational over the past 30 to 45 days for Detroit, as well as Riley Green. Take those 2 guys there. For the game itself, it's a little bit of a heavy line, but I do think there are some RBI opportunities tonight to make some money in the Big A.
I'll explain why I fudged that up on the other side. An ace affair to preview and best bets to give next.
Anyone that's been to a sporting event, the atmosphere before a game, I think Game Time Decisions has that same exact atmosphere. This is our arena. This is what we do. There is going to be an energy to Game Time Decisions that you will feel night in and night out. The excitement you get when you lock your bets in, when you're figuring out what you want to do, we can zone in on the biggest games each night. I want this to be the place that people come to before the games start so they feel as ready as possible to lock in their cards. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions to get that new information, react to it, and be able to then bet accordingly. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.
You got Porzingis, you got Holiday, you got Derek White. You got literally, I would say what? 5 guys can get you 20 points in a game?
I know people will say it's, only one guy. I don't believe that, Coach, that, one guy, those days are over, in my opinion. Like, a Bill Russell, a Wilt Chamberlain.
Betting above the rim. Only on SportsGrid.
You rarely see a tournament champion, if I'm not mistaken, have a triple bogey on any hole and win a championship, and he still did it. To me, I mean, that was really the story.
You look at his last 8 starts, going back to the Arnold Palmer Invitation. His finishes are first, second, first, 8th, second, first.
Newswire. Only on SportsGrid.
So here's why I fudged that up as we were breaking down the Braves game today in Atlanta against the Tigers with Casey Mize. Because on the FanDuel Sportsbook, our great sponsors, the game's back-to-back. Minnesota follows this one as they host the Rays today. I was talking about Atlanta this weekend at the Trop. It's the same exact price on the money line. -164 in favor of Atlanta, +138 on the other side. Detroit, the money line underdog. Same exact numbers in Minneapolis. The Twins -164 in favor against the Rays at +138. My apologies. Now to an Aces affair at Wrigley. And listen, the starting pitching this year for Chicago has been pretty sensational. The back end of the bullpen cannot close a game to save their lives. Yesterday, a similar story, albeit a bad one for the Cubbies this season. They're up 6-3 at the end of 7 innings against the Giants. They should win a game when they're up 3 with just 2 more innings to go. And the Giants rally, including a home run by Tyro Estrada, a 3-run shot in the 9th to give the Giants a 7-6 win. Today, 2 great starters on the bump. Justin Hill for Chicago, Logan Webb on the other side for the Giants. Total of 9.5 in Wrigley. What do you like?
Yeah, Justin Steele on the mound going up against Logan Webb here to tee it up. But also, Ben, you know what the issue is going to be here? You got 2 really good pitchers, but look at this. 86-degree temperatures, 15-mile-an-hour winds blowing dead out to center field in Wrigley. This is going to be a tough matchup for those pitchers who have been dealing. And when I mean dealing, since May 1st, Ben, take a look at Logan Webb, a 74 xFIP minus, an ERA of 3.06. You take a look at Justin Steele, 96 xFIP minus, 3.35 ERA. So everything's working out in their favor. But again, you bring it up. The Chicago Cubs at the plate. And again, against right-handed pitchers, you still should have very good numbers. They don't over the past month. Ian Happ and Seiya Suzuki, 316 ISO 206. Everybody else below the belt here, which is terrible, going up against a really good pitcher. And also keep in mind Logan Webb's numbers. 126 batters he's faced over the past month, a 108 ISO and a 251 weighted on-base percentage. I just told you, Steele is a very good pitcher, but it comes down to trusting the offense of the Giants much, much more than I do offense of the Chicago Cubs. Because take a look at this. As good as those numbers of Steele has been, only one guy in the lineup, which is Patrick Bailey, is a 163 weighted on base percentage. Every single other player expected to be in the lineup today, which is 8 of those guys, above average. I just trust the Giants way more than I do the Cubs. I'll take the Giants today.
I mean, as you should for the entirety of the game. And that's been the case this year for the Cubbies, who have fallen 5 games below 500, 7-17 straight up since May 21st. So there's a ton of Major League Baseball on this Tuesday card. There's some more baseball in Omaha. Elimination on the line today in 2 games in the Big O in the men's CWS. So before we say farewell and goodbye, it's time for a best bet on this Tuesday. It is time for Bye, Bye, Bye. What is the best bet out of the mind of Donnie Rightside on this Tuesday?
Yeah, struck out yesterday Marcus Semien. I thought he'd get 2+ bases here in a decent matchup against Peterson yesterday. Went up in flames. But you know I'm going to go right back to that same game, but we're going to switch teams, going from the Rangers over to the New York Mets. I told you there's a couple guys in the middle of that lineup that make a lot of sense. I'm going to take JD Martinez to record an RBI. I do think players will be on base by the time he gets up. It's a +135 price today from the FanDuel Sportsbook, so we'll flip it back. Rangers yesterday came up lame. 20+ hits for the Mets. I'm not saying they get 20+ hits today, but they should score at least a few runs, and JD Martinez will be a big part of that. +135 for an RBI shot for JD.
I did warn yesterday, fading the Grimace Mets in any particular way, even if it didn't impact the outcome, for Marcus Semien to get a couple of base knocks or to get on base a few times. Wise, I think, Donnie Rightside, to back the Grimace Mets, who are a perfect 6-0, looking to make it 7 in a row tonight in Arlington. A doubleheader of elimination games today in Omaha at the College World Series. So far, 4 days of action in downtown Omaha, 8 games in total. 7 of the 8 have stayed under. It's something I told you to look out for before we got underway at the men's CWS on Friday. There's too many unders, though. At a certain point, it's hot, it's humid in Omaha, Nebraska. The bats are going to light up. First elimination game of the day, Florida State and North Carolina. Total 10.5. The under has the juice at -132. I'm fading my own brain. We go over 10.5 runs for some offense expected between the Heels and the Noles. He's Donnie Rightside. I am Ben Stevens. We will see you tomorrow, 8 a.m. Eastern Time, live right here on the Grid.